All right, I'll say, let us continue with the transmission in the following way. All of you become very comfortable. Close your eyes if you wish. Relax. We're going to do little exercise, little meditation exercise. This exercise is specifically designed to stretch that portion of your brain that is connected to interdimensional transformation. So, by doing this exercise, whenever you wish, you will, through this practice, hone the skill of becoming more sensitive to the idea of different dimensional frequencies, and will assist yourself and, by proxy, others in making it easier for you to transition into a dimensional reality of a different frequency than your own. And that will aid and assist in any future contact. And also, of course, in any future growth of yourself with respect to connecting to other levels of your own consciousness or other levels of all that is. It's a very simple exercise, but it takes advantage of your ability to imagine and visualize those centers in your brain being very important in helping to co-create transitions of energy, shiftings of frequency. So, have fun with this whenever you do it, and have fun with it now. Just relax, take a deep breath in, and let it out. Take another deep breath in, and let it out. Take a deep breath in for the third time and hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. And let it out. Now, just continue to breathe gently, slowly, calmly. Allow your body to relax. Forget the concerns of the day. Just allow everything that you may hear, smell, taste, touch, feel to be a part of the overall experience. Anything that is there belongs there. Invite it all in. And now, imagine in your mind's eye, in any way, shape, or form that your imagination so desires. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Whatever interpretation you wish to give this is fine, as long as it represents to you what we are saying. Imagine, picture, if you will, visualize, if you will, an equilateral triangle, any color, any size, doesn't matter, against any background, doesn't matter. Three-sided equilateral flat triangle. And as you picture this, just sit with it a moment. Just appreciate its geometry, its look, the material it may be made out of, the appearance it may have, whether sitting or floating, opaque or transparent, doesn't matter. Now, allow the picture in your mind to sort of push itself into a three-dimensional tetrahedral shape, a three-sided pyramid. Four-sided really, but not including the base, three-sided pyramid made of equilateral triangles. Take the flat triangle and in your mind push it out into a three-dimensional tetrahedral object. It can rotate slowly in front of your mind's eye if you wish. It's up to you how you wish to see it, but just know that you are changing it from a flat triangle to a three-dimensional object, a tetrahedral pyramid. Sit with it, appreciate it, Just get a sense of the difference between the vibrations of the two objects. And you can even go back and forth if you wish. Three-dimensional to flat, flat to three-dimensional of the triangle. Just play with it. Push it in and out, back and forth, flat and solid. Back and forth, back and forth. Now, let that image fade. And in its place, allow your mind's eye to imagine and picture and visualize a flat square. Just look at it. Same thing with the triangle. A square. Either straight on to you or at an angle, doesn't matter. Just know it's a square. And as you allow yourself to feel that image, play with that image, visualize that image, allow your mind to push it into a cube, a three-dimensional cube. See it expand into a cube. See one square face become 6. Let it rotate around. Let it do what it will do. Appreciate it, its color, size, material. And again, if you wish, you can go back and forth and back and forth. Cube, square, square, cube. Pushing it in and out, inflating, deflating. But making the transition between flat and three-dimensional. And now, allow that image, square and cube, to fade. And imagine, if you will, a circle. Flat circle. Again, however you wish to picture it, of whatever size, of whatever material, of whatever presentment. Picture it. Feel it. Relate to it. Look at it. If any of your other senses engage with it, let them do so. And as you are feeling your relationship with the flat circle, then allow your mind's eye to visualize it pushing into a sphere, a ball, three-dimensional. See it hanging before you, sitting before you, floating before you, whatever you wish. Rotating or not, small or large, doesn't matter. Shiny or dull, transparent or opaque, doesn't matter. The important thing is that you allow yourself to really see the transition between the flat circle and the sphere. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now, allow this image to fade and picture, if you will, a flat spiral line, either going from the center, spiraling out, going from the outside, spiraling in, doesn't matter. It can have 3 turns, 2 turns, 4 turns, it doesn't matter. Just a flat spiral. Imagine it, see it, relate to it, feel it. It has a particular vibrational feeling, a particular sensation associated with it. And as you then see the flat spiral, allow yourself to picture, to visualize that you pull it into an elongated spring. So it is a spiral going upward. Stretch it out like a spring. Feel the springiness of it as you do so. Feel it spring back and forth from a stretched out spiral to a flat spiral again. Back and forth. Back and forth. At whatever rate, in whatever way it pleases you to do so. Play with that for a minute. It can be pointed like a cone when you stretch it out. It can be equidistant when you stretch it out. It doesn't matter. The important thing is the stretching. flat to stretch, stretch to flat. Now, allow yourself, if you can, to picture the first 4 objects: the flat triangle, the flat square, the flat circle, the flat spiral, all together, floating around, sitting around, but somewhere near each other, so that you can see them all. Whether you have to turn to look at them, whether they are in the 4 directions, whether they're all in front of your face in one direction, doesn't matter. Just picture the flat versions of all of these things: triangle, square, circle, spiral. And then see them all balloon out into their 3D counterparts, filling up into the tetrahedral pyramid, into the cube, into the sphere, into the extended spiral. And back and forth and back and forth and back and forth like a little dance. Stretch and flat, expand and shrink. All 4 things simultaneously, one after another, doesn't matter, as long as they are all included. Now, as you see these objects going from flat to expanded, expanded to flat, all 4 of them, allow yourself to imagine that you are also in the middle of these objects, that you are a 5th object. And you see yourself in your reality, but you also imagine yourself expanding beyond your body to a larger self, a spirit self, a consciousness self, and back and forth in the same way the other objects are going back and forth. From your physical reality to higher level dimensional realities, where you can see a big picture of everything. And back down to the physical point of view, and up into the more expanded point of view. However you wish to depict that in your imagination is completely up to you. But do it at the same time and in the same way that the other objects are contracting and expanding. You are also simultaneously contracting and expanding, and you are simultaneously contracted and expanded at the same time. So that you now begin in your imagination to see that the flat versions of everything and the expanded versions of everything coexist simultaneously. They are all there, all at once. Beginning and end, ending and beginning. They are all their own distinct and discrete shapes, and yet at the same time they are all interconnected. And they are all interconnected in you, in your imagination, in the center of your consciousness, in the center of your brain. It is as if they are all projected outward from the center of your head. Projected outward into manifestation, into perception, into materiality. And then they all collapse back into your head. And then are all projected outward again. And collapse back into your head. And are all projected outward again. And expand outward into themselves, flat and expanded, flat and expanded. In whatever way your imagination desires to experience what I am describing, let it do so. And know that while you are imagining this, while you are picturing this, while you are visualizing this, that you are stretching that portion of your personality, that you are actually changing and transforming and rewiring the neurology of your brain to be highly capable of being more sensitive to different levels, different frequencies, different dimensions of reality, different dimensions of experience. And now let all of that settle within you. Take a deep breath in and let it out with the same kind of contractive and expansive feeling. Take a deep breath in and let it out. And take a final deep breath in and hold it. And feel the idea locking into you, changing your neurology. And let it out. Anytime you do this exercise, you will be stretching that portion of your consciousness to be more capable of forming links and bridges to other dimensions, other levels of reality, other frequencies of being. And it will allow you to become more conducive, literally more conductive of a variety of transitional and transformational vibrations and energies. And that will also have the effect of expanding and increasing synchronicity in your life, and expanding and increasing the slipperiness of space-time, and expanding and increasing your ability to be aware of communications from all levels, not only of your own being, but from other levels, other realms, other dimensions, within all that is as well. So, play with it, use this tool, use it whenever you wish. Now, I would suggest you don't necessarily need to do it more than 3 times in one of your days. But you can do it at least that many if you wish, or twice, or once. It's up to you. For now, we would simply recommend you don't do it more than 3 times a day to give yourself an opportunity to assimilate the effect that is being created within you by using this tool. That will be about the rate at which you will be capable of absorbing all of the effects and creating a lasting ability. 3 times a day will be the maximum required. Does that all make sense to you? Yes. All right. Now, for the moment, we may continue with interaction through questions and answers if you wish, or dialogue. You don't need a question to speak with us. Anything you wish to simply comment on is welcome as well. And in fact, just to let you in on another little secret, many times, our capability at accessing information for you is actually heightened when you make a statement instead of asking a question. Because if you already are willing to acknowledge what you know, you take yourself to a vibratory level that allows many more doorways in your consciousness to be open to us. And thus then we can access whatever information is necessary at that time. Understand that what we know, we only know when we need to know it. And we only know it relative to the conversations and interactions that we're having at that moment. We do not actually have memory. We simply know what we need to know when we need to know it. And thus, we don't know what we know until in the moment it comes. And then we simply trust it is what needs to come at that moment, without judgment, without expectation, for whatever purpose it may serve. So, you may begin.
Good afternoon, Bashar.
And a you good day.
First of all, I'd like to just make a statement that you are such a joy. You are so much fun, and we love you and appreciate you so much.
Our appreciation to all of you as well. You are fun for us.
I bet we are. I'd like to also extend an invitation to you. If you ever would like to land at my door, I will throw you a party, and everyone is invited.
How far will you throw it?
As far as I can.
All right.
All right.
Now, thank you very much, but also I will say, please understand that all the invitations have already been sent out. We will answer according to the timing that serves everyone best. So you don't have to worry about whether or not you have extended an invitation.
Okay, thank you. Here's my question.
Yes.
It's regarding the idea of death on this planet.
Death, yes.
Yes. Not only would I like to talk about what choices do we have after death, what do we do over there, where do we go?
Whatever you want.
Okay, well, I'd like to discuss that.
Oh,
and
all
then,
right.
And then, of course, you know, on this planet, when someone dies,
Yes.
it's probably the worst fear we have.
Yes,
And
one of them.
And
In actual fact, I believe fear of public speaking is worse
well,
on a list of phobias of humanity.
Well, I've conquered that one.
Obviously.
I'm sitting here. But I'd like to know, what is it about our attitude that we fear death, and instead of looking at it as just a transformation into the next,
yes,
we grieve and we have such ceremony. And what do you do on your planet when you die?
Celebrate.
Do you celebrate? Okay.
And also, please remember, we are still in communication with that being.
Yes.
We understand there really is no disconnection. We understand it is just a transition, and we also have the ability to continue to communicate with them in their different state.
Okay.
So do you, of course. But because of thousands of years of ritualization and the experience of disconnection, not real disconnection, but the creation of the experience of disconnection, the personality structure assumes that death means annihilation. And so you mourn the idea. You are afraid in general of the idea because you think it's the end of your identity, when in fact it's actually the expansion into more of yourself. You become more of who you are in death. Physical reality, in a sense, is more like death than death is, because you place so many limitations on yourself. And from the spirit point of view, again, not judgmentally, physical reality is the more dead-like state. So, the idea is that most of the grieving, while you may have it if you wish, not going to take anything away from you, if that feels appropriate, then allow yourself to do so. But generally it comes from feeling like you are being left behind. You're actually mourning for yourself.
Right.
Because you understand innately somewhere that the other being that has died has gone on to a more expanded state, and you also yearn for that as well. Yearn to remember that. Yearn to remember that's who you are. And in that sense, feel that that death has reminded you that you have placed limitations on yourself, and so the grieving is actually for you. Nevertheless, you are getting to a point where you are beginning to understand that the concept of physical death is just a transition. You don't have to lose touch with anybody at all. And as you begin to understand that more and more, you will be able to continue to communicate with those beings in a very clear manner. You understand?
Yes.
Now, upon the idea of expansion into death, most individuals on your planet will feel it or experience it in general as if they are waking up from a dream.
Yes.
Because that is the real reality as far as they are concerned, and the idea of the physical life doesn't carry the same degree of importance per se. It literally is the way you feel when you wake up from a dream and say, oh, this is my real reality, and then the dream just sort of fades off, except whatever pieces may remain that you feel are important for you to remember. Death is like that with regard to physical reality. You wake up and suddenly remember who you are and that you are having this physical dream. You understand?
Yes.
And that's why most individuals don't really actually, shall we say, hang around and try to make contact. Because physical reality, again, is not so real from that point of view anymore. They understand they still may have loved ones in physical reality, and they can communicate, and often do. But the overwhelming feeling is that you're actually waking up into your true reality, and the idea of physical reality becomes, to some degree, with a few exceptions, all of a sudden a secondary concern that isn't as real. Does that make sense?
That makes great sense.
From that point there forward, you have the ability to recognize that there are different gradations of non-physical reality in which you can still experience many things according to your consciousness that feel like physical experiences, even though you may no longer be physical. You can actually create cities, houses, all sorts of landscapes that seem very tangible and can be experienced in a very tangible way. But the difference would be is that there really isn't the same idea of space-time, and so in that reality, what you imagine, what you think, is almost instantaneously created. You understand?
Yes.
So, you can actually still have many kinds of experiences in the non-physical reality that are very similar to the idea of physical reality, and there are people in non-physical reality who even form neighborhoods, communities, cities, all sorts of things, because they gravitate to each other because of their vibration. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
You can also function as a guide if you wish. You can go on to other realities if you wish. You can explore other dimensions if you wish. It really is up to you. And in fact, it's even up to you to return, in a sense, to the life you just left and continue on from where you left off. When you die, you still have a choice to keep on living until you make the choice to actually go all the way into non-physical reality. You actually are given the choice to simply go back and pick up where you left off and, in a sense, forget that you actually died, or maybe remember it as a dream, or just some funny kind of glitch in your reality that you don't quite understand how you made it alive through that accident, but obviously you did. Well, in fact, actually, you didn't. But when you died, you were still given the opportunity. Would you like to go back and continue? Yes, thank you, please. All right, there you go. And you pick up from where you left off on the other side of the accident, wondering and scratching your head how you possibly could have made it out of that alive. Well, again, you didn't. Many of you have died many times. You just don't remember.
Right.
But you are given an opportunity and a choice, even then, to pick up the life and keep on going. Now, in a sense, what you're actually doing is you're creating another parallel reality. But you're creating a sense of continuity to such a degree that it seems like it's the same life that you're continuing. It doesn't matter, in effect. You can still have the same ideas, the same goals, the same friends, same feelings, all of it. Although, of course, there's usually something left behind that makes you feel suddenly a little bit different than you did before when you go through an experience like that. You follow me?
Yes.
Is this answering your question sufficiently?
Yes, very helpful. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, one moment. Speak up and be bold so that all may hear what you have to say. Adjust your machinery if you need to.
I think it's not working, so I just speak loudly.
Testing. Hello? Is that working now? Okay. I want to thank you and Alan very much for making this possible for us to be with you at this time.
We thank you also, all of you, for making it possible for us.
It's been very, this isn't what I came to say, but it's been very difficult for me
All right.
being here on this planet.
Yes.
Very. And how can I be in touch more with yourself and consciousnesses like you so that I'm not so isolated and that I have more support?
All right. Well, again, as we said, first of all, it's about getting in touch with your definitions. Stop defining yourself as isolated, because you're not alone.
Right, I'm sorry.
No,
You taught that already.
please, you don't have to apologize.
Okay.
I'm not putting a value judgment on it. Just responding to your statement. You can begin to understand you are not isolated. Understand that all you're experiencing is the experience of isolation. You can't actually be separate or isolated. That's not possible. Again, if it were really possible for you to be truly isolated, truly separate, you wouldn't exist. You are part of existence. You're part of all that is. So what you're experiencing is the experience of isolation. And if it's an experience, it can be changed. And usually it can be changed by getting in touch with what belief systems and definitions you have that allow you to believe you are, in that sense, isolated, and so have an experience of isolation. But before we go into that, the idea really, to answer your question most directly, goes back to the other issue we talked about in terms of following your highest joy, following your highest excitement as best as you can. So my question first and foremost to you is, are you? Why not?
Because I have had the perhaps illusion that I have responsibilities.
In what way does your definition of responsibility prevent you from following your joy? Because it's only your definition that does.
I guess it was my concern about what was going on and trying to...
Can you be more specific?
I know that my words are full of conflict in all of the things that you have said we should let go of. So.
Not should,
Okay. there
can
you go.
choose to.
Can choose to let go of.
Yes, it's up to you. There are no shoulds here.
Right.
If you really, really enjoy being miserable, please continue to do so. Please. Please do not stop on my account. I would never want that for you.
What happens if you have problems doing that? How do you just...
You need to get in touch with the definitions that are creating the experience called a problem. Let me explain it to you this way. All humans, without exception, are motivated by one thing and one thing only. This is simply the human psyche, the human personality structure, the consciousness of the physical human being. Your motivations for what you choose are one thing only. You will always, unerringly, automatically, immediately, without question, without hesitation, always move in the direction of what you define as more pleasurable and move away from what you define as more painful. Big key here. Because if you actually keep choosing to do things that are seemingly painful, and know you could be choosing to do other things that you think should be more pleasurable, the question is, why don't you? If you don't, that can only mean one thing. You have a definition about the thing that you are choosing that says it is less painful than the other choice. As painful as it might be, you have a definition that says it's less painful than the other choice. So many people on your planet, when they say, well, yes, I understand, I could be choosing this, and it seems like that would be the more pleasurable thing to do, so why don't I move in that direction? That means, that tells you right then and there, very clearly, that you have a definition, you need to find out what that definition is you've bought into that would be attached to that thing that would make the thing that is more pleasurable actually seem to be the more painful choice than what you're already doing. For example, I understand this is a simplistic example, but perhaps it will illustrate the point because it's a common idea on your planet. Many people, when they are being raised on your planet, are told, you're not really successful unless you make a lot of money. Now, they go, oh, all right, well then I'll make a lot of money. At the same time, they might also be taught, love of money is the root of all evil. Oh, well, what do I do with that? Now I have two completely contradictory belief systems to assimilate. How do I do that? Well, let's just say that for one reason or another, you really bought into the idea that love of money is the root of all evil. Well, if that's what's going on in your unconscious or subconscious mind, and you may not even know that it's there, then anything you do to move toward the idea of making money will automatically be self-sabotaged. Because if the stronger belief is, if I make money, I'm evil, and I don't want to be evil, I will do everything in my power to avoid making money. And that's the circuit you will create. Do you see where we're going with this?
It's your beliefs.
It's totally your beliefs, and the idea is that you have to find out what the definition actually is. Because when you identify it, when you identify what the belief is and see where it's attached in your motivational structure, as soon as it becomes transparent, it's gone. It's gone. It no longer influences you unless there's another belief that says you should keep believing that. And then that's another belief you would need to get in touch with and find out why you would have that. But the basic question is this. If you keep choosing to do things that you say are not pleasant, and you have attached the idea of a definition to it in the way we have just described, what that fundamentally translates into is you're saying that to do something that is not pleasant for you actually serves you better than any other choice you could make. You believe it serves you. If you get in touch with the definition of why you've defined that that is serving you more than any other choice, then it will become transparent how you have attached a definition to it. Once it's transparent what definition you've attached, it will go away. You'll feel the release. You'll feel the aha moment within you. You'll let it go, and will automatically start replacing it with a belief that works for you, and will automatically find yourself being motivated to move in the direction of the thing you prefer because you no longer have a negative belief attached to it.
How do you get in touch with that definition? How do you
By literally asking yourself questions. What would I have to believe is true for me to keep choosing something I don't prefer?
Okay.
You have to ask yourself these questions and take yourself through an honest self-assessment of really using your imagination and your intellect and your emotions, your intelligence, to find out what would I have to believe is true about me relative to this situation for me to choose something that empirically I know is not what I prefer. And when you begin that process of asking those questions, what that belief could possibly be, your imagination will guide you. And you will eventually begin to understand, oh, I must believe this. And you'll again get that aha moment when it feels correct. You'll discover what it is. And as soon as you do, you'll simultaneously feel the release, and you'll simultaneously realize that most likely you've been carrying around other people's baggage. And it doesn't belong to you. These are beliefs that have nothing to do with you, and you can drop them and let them go. And primarily, while you're doing this process, it would be wise and beneficial, if you can, to do it with a sense of lightness, with a sense of adventure, with a sense of exploration, not with a sense of dread. Oh, what am I going to discover about myself? Maybe if I get down there and find out I have this negative belief about myself, I'm going to find out it's actually true. And so you'll avoid it at all costs. No, nothing you will discover about yourself can do anything but serve you become more of who you are. If you look at it with that attitude and approach it in that way, it will be an adventure, not a trial. Not a judgment against yourself. It will be an exploration and a discovery. And that, in and of itself, is exciting. You're going to discover more of who you are. Oh, joy. Can't wait. Bring it on. No matter what fear might come up, invite it in. Fear is a messenger knocking at your door saying, hey, there's a belief system here you're not aware of that's not working for you. I'm bringing it to your attention. Thank you, fear. I love you. And as soon as you treat your fear that way, it will say, I'm turning to joy now. Because you see, you only have one energy. You filter your energy through belief systems, and that generates what you call feelings. That's the direction in which it works. All feelings, all emotions generate from definitions and beliefs first. If you don't believe something to be true, you don't have a feeling about it. If you're walking down the street wearing white socks, someone runs up to you, some crazy person says, I really hate those orange socks you're wearing, you would just sit there and stare blankly and go, well, that's nothing to do with me. Because you don't know how to feel about it because it's not a belief you have, that you're not wearing orange socks. So the idea is similar. If you understand that this belief has nothing to do with you, you will neutralize it emotionally and then choose the belief that you do prefer and allow the emotions that correspond to that belief to be generated within you. But if you have fear, all that's happening is you're getting a sensation that tells you, hey, you're funneling your energy through beliefs that are out of alignment with your true core essential self. There's a distortion here. There's an out-of-phase belief. And it's the out-of-phase belief that you're running your energy through that generates that sensation you call anxiety, doubt, and fear. But when you run the very same energy through belief systems that are in harmonious alignment with your true essential core self, that same energy transforms into joy, excitement, love, bliss, passion, creativity. It's the same energy. So when you feel fear, know that you are right in touch with your excitement. You just have to redefine the belief the energy is running through. That's all you have to do. The fear has now put you in touch with a grand opportunity to be aware of the fact you have a belief that's not working for you. That notion in and of itself is exciting because now you're about to discover a new part of yourself you didn't know about before, and that means that when you get through with that process, you're going to be more than you were before, and that's cause for celebration. That's the attitude in which to approach it to allow it to be most effective in a positive way. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Does this help?
Very much so. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Does that suffice?
Yeah. May I ask you one more question?
Well, that was a question. So I suppose you can.
Thank you. I have 2 children.
Yes.
I'm concerned about the effect of, all this technology and the computers and what seems to be, again, after after hearing what you had to say,
Yes.
listening to myself is like I feel kind of silly.
That's all right.
Because I realize
That's all
the
right.
limitations of the words and the way
Yes,
that I'm
that's all right.
describing
It's really
everything.
just all about what kind of relationship you teach your children to have with these things. It's not about the things themselves.
Well, I have one child that picks programs that I perceive. Again, I know I'm not supposed to do this. but
No
okay.
supposed tos.
I did
You can
perceive-
recognize something that might be actually energetically detrimental without judgment value.
Okay. That I perceived, and may I request that this not be moved while I'm talking, please? Okay. Okay. I would really appreciate it if. Yeah. Please just leave it like it is. I'll hold it. Okay. Thank you. Because having a flying object in front of me while I'm trying to concentrate is a little
All right.
distracting.
You were talking about
Okay.
your relationship with technology after
Yes,
all.
you're absolutely perfect.
Thank you. Synchronicity. You see?
Perfect. Thank you for being my messenger.
Yes.
I'll kiss it. That'll be better.
Oh, all right.
Maybe
Yes.
that's part of it right there. Maybe that takes care of it. I don't know. In the previous.
The idea is to have a conversation with your child about the consequences of interacting with things that are symbolic of certain kind of energies, and to really enlist the child in that conversation in understanding the preference the child may have for the kind of consequences that go along with dealing with certain kinds of energy.
Well,
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I have one child, though, that becomes like almost addicted to getting on the computer. She goes crazy if she gets disconnected from it, and it becomes this
All right.
desperate.
Then again, you see,
What is
first
that?
of all, of course, obviously, what you're getting is the consequence of a foundational relationship between you that's been going on for some time. So it may take a while for you to unwind this and retrace the steps of all the different kinds of belief systems your child has been fed from you. You understand?
Yes.
All right. But you can both go through this journey and this process together. Again, you've brought up the perfect example and the perfect word. And remember that we talked about this a moment ago. The idea of what does disconnection mean? And is she really disconnected? It may appear that she's disconnected in one way, but you could have a conversation that begins to allow her to appreciate the idea that she's connected in so many other ways to so many other things you may not have allowed her to be aware of before now. And you can expand her appreciation of the idea of what connection is all about, so that there can be different expressions of it at different times that work harmoniously together, instead of just assuming a narrow definition of, if I'm not connected here, I'm not connected to anything. You follow me? That's one possible approach you could have in a conversation, is begin to examine the definitions of what connection and disconnection really means, and why. What belief system the child has about what that so-called experience of disconnection actually means. When you find out what the child deep down believes is happening to her in that experience of so-called disconnection, you'll begin to get an understanding of why it means so much. And by getting an understanding of why it means so much, you'll be able to help her redefine herself so she doesn't have to react to it in a negative way. You understand?
Yeah.
Because you can allow her to understand there are different ways to connect to different things at different times, and that she doesn't have to worry she's going to miss out on something, because you are infinite, eternal beings. What's your hurry? What's your rush? You're connected to everything all the time anyway, in a variety of different ways. And that one symbol that your society says represents a particular kind of connection isn't the only way to make those kinds of connections. But it's an opportunity to get in touch with what belief system she may be holding on to about what that experience means for her, so you can really explore together how to change those definitions.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you very, very much.
You are very, very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else like to ask a question?